And we say good morning to you. Welcome to the Tom Little Sports Show. We are live at Chick-Fil-A at the Crossings in North Johnson City on this Wednesday, Hump Day. When it's Hump Day, it's Chicken Day. Chicken Day's Hump Day. We're here live again at Chick-Fil-A, and we thank you for being with us here. We have survived the carnage and the rain and the great racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm telling you, been up there 16, 17 years. 16 as an announcer and about 18, 19 all told. That's the best racing I've seen in a long time. And I'm going to tell you right now, keep an eye out for all the hubbub about Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it's out there because he stepped away. I want you to remember this guy's name. His name is Kyle Larson. This guy can flat drive a race car. Got all the way back in the field. Got penalized going into pit road too fast. And when you do that, you got to go back to the back of the field. If you know anything about NASCAR, and if you don't, that's what happens. So this guy still rocketed up through the field and was challenging for the win. And I dare say, had he had another lap or two, he may have caught Jimmy Johnson, but he did not. And so Jimmy Johnson wins it. I was going to show you a picture. Never mind. We had a chance to hang out with Jimmy Johnson down in Victory Lane and never interviewed him before, and he was a very, very humble. This guy's a multimillionaire about 10 times over, 7-time champion, and a very, very classy gentleman. And here's what I like. He and Chad Canals, after the race, we had a new Victory Lane down to the front stretch, and they hung around and signed autographs. They had pictures, did photo ops with the fans that got down on the track with our new Victory Lane, which I thought was pretty cool. It has some tweaking to do, but by and large, it was, I thought, very, very effective. And so, anyway, Jimmy Johnson, I'm not trying to name drop, but I interviewed the winning driver, and a very nice guy. So was Chad Canals. Of course, they just won the Food City 500, so it was a great weekend, a lot of rain, but we survived and they survived, and so now we turn our attentions to the fall race. August 16th, 18th, and 19th are the dates you want to circle. And you can go to the website, and I can tell you the phones are ringing this morning with the announcement yesterday that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is stepping away from the sport. He is the most popular driver in NASCAR, voted on by the fans 14 straight years. The last time somebody besides Dale Jr. was voted the most popular driver by the fans was Bill Elliott back in 2002. So, having said that, Jr. announcing yesterday, we're going to get into that a lot here today, that he is stepping away from the sport at the end of the regular season, end of 2017. So the tickets and the phones are ringing at Bristol Motor Speedway because, the phrase, "It's Bristol, baby," was coined by Dale Earnhardt Jr. And so he loves his track. And so they're going to do some special things for him in August, I guarantee you. So it's going to be a special night. You don't want to miss this on August the 19th, the last night Dale Jr. will be in a cup car at Bristol Motor Speedway. So BristolMotorspeedway.com, Bristol Tix. You can go there, BristolTix.com, 423-BRISTOL, 1-866-415-4158. So, and the phones are ringing. That's not hype. The phones are ringing because they understand that this will be a huge crowd for the Saturday night race, August the 19th at Bristol Motor Speedway. We say good morning to him. We always dedicate our show to the man who hung on the cross. We unashamedly say that. And so the verse today to get us started is out of the book of Zephaniah, out of the Old Testament. I am with you. I am mighty to save. I will take great delight in you. Whew. What more do we need? The man who hung on the cross says, I will take great delight in you. I will quiet you with my love. So if you get a little antsy, a little up in the air, a little jittery, a little whatever, he says, I will quiet you with my love, and I will rejoice over you with singing. But first and foremost says, very simply, 4 words, I am with you. There you go. By the way, I fixed the bell. Had some downtime at the track, and I fixed the goofy bells. The bell rings a little bit better now. So anyway, that's what's going on there, and that is the verse of the day. I am with you. I am mighty to save. I will take great delight in you. I will quiet you with my love, and I will rejoice, I should say, over you with singing. Hit it one more time. That is, we need to ring the bell all day, every day for what he does for us. Zephaniah 3:17, again, our verse of the day. Obviously, the big story. We're going to take a quick break, come right back and jump into it. NASCAR, as we said, we're going to read portions, not the entire speech or script, if you will, by his closing comments and all of his comments at his press conference. So won't read all the transcript. We're going to read some of it. Dale Earnhardt Jr., again, stepping away from the sport at the end of the season. But again, as he said, this weekend we're going to be in Richmond. We're going to jump in there and tackle that one and be ready to roll. So it's not like he's going away, but he is going to go away at the end of the season. We'll talk about that. Some interesting tributes to some interesting folks that he paid yesterday. First and foremost, the fan base. We'll tell you all about that. We'll be right back. We're live again at Chick-Fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City. We'll be right back right after you hear this on the Tom Taylor Sports Show.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
The deals are heating up for Truck Month at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. Over 300 new Chevys to choose from, all with incredible savings. $11,000 off MSRP on 16 Silverado All-Star Crew Cabs. Check out the savings online at championjc.com. 16 Silverado Crew Cab, $33,685. 16 Track, $17,460. 16 Equinox, $21,615. 16 Traverse, $27,365. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they treat thousands of patients each year dealing with diabetes and its effects. Diabetes overtaking our nation and leaving a path of destruction behind. Through wound care, office visits, and preventive care, they see most of the patients after a problem arises. Using diabetic footwear such as shoes and inserts, a great way to prevent or prolong skin breakdown and amputation. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they use only custom molds from patient mold inserts, which further ensure a great recovery, or better yet, prevents a wound from happening. They use custom molded shoes, bracing, custom inserts, and extra depth diabetic shoes to prevent wounds or other skin issues from beginning. Call today, 1-800-524-4447. 39 years, 6 locations, 1 family. Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, 1-800-524-4447.
Any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-fil-A. Over 10 to choose from. Perfect for having the gang over to watch the big game, birthday parties, church get-togethers, backyard gatherings, everything from fruit trays to garden salad trays to nuggets and chicken strip trays. And for the sweet tooth, try the cinnamon cluster or chocolate chunk cookie tray. So you see, any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A at the Crossings in North Johnson City.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Back live again to the Tom Taylor Sports Show. We are live. We were talking to the lovely Mrs. Lammer, our marketing director, having a big time here, and so we want to say thanks again wherever you may be watching the show today. Coming up, let's see who's going to be on the show today. We got a full package as always. Tyler Parsons from the Johnson City Cardinals. Mike Hedrick joins us out of Virginia. The NASCAR fans reporter. Dave Angie from the Johnson City Press will join us tomorrow. Goodness gracious, we'll be at Champion Chevrolet. Tomorrow we got 7 guests. I can't wait. Of course, I can't wait for today either. It's good. So it's all good. Now, I want to jump in here and do my obligatory that I do every show now is the length of the hair, the Pantene, beautiful lengths. Growing the hair, we're real close to getting it cut off and starting all over again. We are doing this for, I lost my mother, my stepmother, my father to cancer, and so my small way of doing this, I'm giving back by simply growing the hair long. They're going to cut it off at the appropriate length and make wigs for ladies who are going through radiation or chemotherapy or both under the umbrella of the American Cancer Society. So check them out, PanteneBeautifulLinks.com. And so we're growing the hair for that reason. And again, we're going to help ladies that are going through cancer. It's my small way of giving back because I lost, a mother and a stepmother and a father to cancer. So if I can help out in some small way, which I am, in a small way, I'm doing it. So anyway, PanteneBeautifulLinks.com. All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. stepping away yesterday. Let's see. He says, as we get started, I'm not going to read the whole transcript. I hit some of the highlights. It says, quote, as you know, I missed a few races last year. During that time, I had to face the realization that my driving career may have already ended without me as much as getting a vote at the table. The big thing about yesterday, what he continued to emphasize throughout the press conference, then afterwards in some of the interviews, I want to go out on my own. We all want to go out on our own. If you're working at a job and you are ready to ride off in the sunset, you always, my father used to say, go on your own. Don't let them chase you out the door. So, and I think he's nailed it. So, as you know, he says, I missed a few races last year, and during that time, I had to face the realization that my driving career may have already ended without me as much as getting a vote at the table. Of course, in life, we're not promised a vote. That's especially true in racing, which is very true. The next race could be your last, not from a fatality standpoint, just a career-ending injury. And he's exactly right. So last year, as you know, he went through some concussion protocol and stepped away from the racing scene for a number of races. So he says, but during my rehab last year, I was given something else that I wasn't accustomed to, and that was time. Time to understand what's important to me, time to realize the incredible support system I have in my wife. Behind every great man's a good woman, folks. Remember that one. My team, my doctors, and time to work like the Dickens to wrestle back some semblance of say-so in this whole matter. So that became my motivation, the opportunity to stand here at this podium to announce my choice rather than some fate that was decided for me. So again, he wanted to stand up there and say, I'm going out on my terms, on my time. That was the whole crux of what he did yesterday. In that regard, I thought this was an interesting line. In that regard, Junior says, the race car wasn't my goal. It was merely the vehicle that got me here today. So on March the 29th, here's the other part of this. This was decided a couple of weeks ago. March 29th, I drove over and had the conversation with Rick Hendrick, who, of course, owns the team Rick Hendrick Motorsports. And his response, he told me he loved me. Becoming a bigger part of your life has changed mine forever. Rick, you gave me guidance and direction that will reward me for as long as I live. So this meeting took place March the 29th, so this has been in the works and under wraps for a couple of weeks. So they knew it. So the interesting part will be now, a lot of interesting parts, but interesting part will be who takes his spot in the seat next year. Now, I'm going to throw one out there for you. Keep your ear and eye open, because Rick Hendrick's got the checkbook. He can open up and go get who he wants. Carl Edwards out there. I mean, what a quick fix to this 88 team. I mean, Alex Bowman's got pinch hitted for him last year, and pretty good driver. Carl Edwards just out there hanging. I don't know if he's under contract. If he comes back, he has to come back with Joe Gibbs. If you don't know the story, Carl Edwards abruptly resigned right before the start of the season, said he was done, he was wore out, he's over it, so on and so forth. So he steps out of the car, and an immediate situation, Daniel Suarez took his place, so he's out there. Will he get the burn to come back? Will Rick Hendrick lure him with some money to get him back? Or, there's really two. Junior for sure leaving, and then you look at Casey Kane, who's woefully underperforming for the team. Of course, you have the other two, Jimmy Johnson and Chase Elliott. And so Jimmy winning 2 in a row, winning Texas and Bristol. So keep your eye on Carl Edwards to see if something will evolve around there. Keep your eye on Martin Truex Jr., see if something evolves there from Furniture Row Racing. So there's a couple of what could be's, and I'm sure we're not going to know for a while who that replacement's going to be. I think he probably will take his time, Rick Hendrick, and find who he wants. But I promise you, if there's a conversation about this stepping away on March the 29th, you can bet to your bottom dollar there's been talk already behind closed doors who's going to take that seat. And it's a seat that, Nationwide and Rick Hendrick Motorsports and Chevrolet, I mean, it's going to be a good seat to walk in and sit in and begin driving for in 2017. Junior also said Kelly Earnhardt Miller, that is his sister. I think if I were to sum up Kelly's life in one word, it would be sacrifice. You all know the stories, and they're all true. She dropped out of one school to enroll in military school where he was, or in this case, his quote, where I was, because she was worried about me. So sister took care of brother. She came to work for me, even though it meant that she had to take a massive pay cut, but she knew that I needed her. She didn't think twice about it. She made it her life mission to have my back, and I'm telling you today, Kelly, how much I appreciate that. Talks about his mother, Brenda Jackson. Loves me through good races and bad races. That's how mamas do. By the way, Mother's Day is coming up. Don't forget your mama. If she's gone, get her some flowers. Or here's a good, we do this all the time, get some Gideon Bibles in her honor or her memory and send them out and have people hear the gospel on behalf of your mama who's gone. But anyway, his mother, my mother, she loves me through good races and bad races. What makes her uniquely my own is she definitely is going to tell me when it was a bad race. Mama don't mince no words. So you thanked her, obviously. And to his dad, the late Dale Earnhardt, I would have not been a race car driver had not been for him. He believed in me. And so he talks about him. Then he gets into the fans. To my fans, one thing that's made this career the incredible ride that it has been is Junior Nation. The fan support that I received straight out of the gate was in large part because of my famous last name, Earnhardt. But throughout the ups and downs, it occurred to me that the fans that stuck it out and the new ones that joined us, they were there because of the person I was and not who they wanted me to be. He's always been his own guy, which I appreciate because some of us kind of dance our own drum beat. So in closing, there's lots more. He's thanked all the different sponsors and Chevrolet and NASCAR. And so I want to go to the final paragraph for Dale's transcript of his press conference saying, in closing, I am eager to explore new opportunities. I don't see myself really detaching from NASCAR. My intention is to still be involved in the sport on some level. In fact, I still have 2 Xfinity races to run for JR Motorsports in 2018, so even after this season is over, you've not seen the last of me on the racetrack. But more than that, I want to be part of the future of this sport for many, many years to come. Thank you very much. And that's when he walked away from the podium. So that was pieces of the entire transcript of Dale Jr.'s press conference yesterday. And so he's stepping away effective at the end of this season. But again, matters in hand now will be as he heads off to Richmond International Raceway this weekend to get ready for the racing there at Richmond and the rest of the NASCAR Monster Energy NASCAR Cup season. It's the Tom Taylor Sports Show. We are show number, by the way, 505 today. Whew, how about that? 505 is the magic number. Before we go to the break, let's look at the points before we head off to Richmond and see what's happening there. I don't know if the Xfinity race, got to talk a little bit about that. We had a little, we talked up there during the racing commentary all weekend long, and we talked last week going into the race, there would be hurt feelings at Bristol. Well, there was. It was in the Xfinity Series. Jeremy Clements had to make a trip to the track medical center after he was punched in the face by Ross Chastain. Apparently, he had a little mix-up there on pit road. Clements was decked. Jeremy Clements was decked in the face by Ross Chastain after the red flag came out for rain at Bristol on Saturday. Clements spent much of the 98-minute stoppage in the care center as his eye was treated for swelling. Boys will be boys, will they not? NASCAR talked to both drivers after the race. Any penalties will be determined probably coming out tomorrow or today or tomorrow, maybe Friday, and maybe not. Boys shall be boys, as they say. So let's take a look at the points as they head off to Bristol. Both the Xfinity and the Cup Series. Trucks are off until, a couple of more weeks in May before they crank back up. So you look at the Xfinity Series, the Monster Energy Cup Series. Kyle Larson with a 27-point lead over Chase Elliott. Then comes Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, and Ryan Blaney round out the top 10 in points. Again, so Larson with a 27-point cushion now. Cushion's kind of relative, but he has a 27-point lead over Chase Elliott heading to Richmond this weekend. So it's Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray and the Chip Ganassi machine, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, and Ryan Blaney cracks the top 10. On the outside looking into the 11th and 12th spot is Kyle Busch and the rookie driver Eric Jones. Out of Knoxville, Trevor Bayne is in 13th place right now, 168 points out of first place. So that is the top 10 as it is heading off to Richmond this weekend for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Now for the Xfinity Series, your top 10 go as follows. Elliott Sadler, William Byron, Sadler with a 16-point lead heading to Richmond. Justin Allgaier, Ryan Reed, Daniel Hemrick. Hemrick, by the way, won the $100,000 with the Dash for Cash on Saturday. That was pretty cool. Top 2 drivers in the first 2 stages came back to duke it out, and Daniel Hemrick won $100,000 put in his pocket. He's currently 5th in points. Didn't win the race, but he won the $100,000. I'm sure that kind of soothed his hurt feelings that he didn't win the race. Darrell Wallace Jr., Bubba Wallace 6th, Blake Cook 7th, Brennan Poole 8th, Matt Tiff 9th, and Mike Lynette currently top 10 in points in the Xfinity Series. Now, let's see what's happening heading off to Richmond. The winner last year was Carl Edwards. Will crown a new winner there. He went back-to-back last year, winning Bristol and Richmond. So Carl's out of the car, of course. Will crown a new champion there this weekend as well. On the pole, Carl Edwards sat on the pole and won the race, and so he will obviously not be there. And so it will be somebody's to win coming up this weekend at Richmond International Raceway. Tom Taylor Sports Show, thanks for being with us. We are live here at Chick-Fil-A, The Crossings in North Johnson City. Hello, Melissa. How are you? It's all good. You are having, let's see, I'm getting ready to talk about the Cobb salad, but you're having grilled nuggets and some yogurt and a little, we got tea, soda pop. There we go. See, here's what I learned something the other day. When you come and get the fruit cup, you can customize the fruit cup. If you don't want the apples, you just get the blueberries, the strawberries, and the mandarin oranges. If you don't want the oranges, just want the apples and whatever, they can customize the fruit cup for you. Fruit cups are good, very good here at Chick-fil-A. So is the Cobb salad, only 500 calories. If you're weight watching, most of the pools open up a little over a month from now. So if you're concerned about getting into the old 2-piece, 1-piece, 3-piece, whatever you're going to be wearing, Cobb salad's what you want. Chick-fil-A nuggets, sliced and served hot on a fresh bed of chopped romaine lettuce and baby greens, topped with shredded red cabbage and carrots, roasted corn kernels, a blend of shredded Monterey Jack and cheddar cheeses, crumbled bacon. Tastes good and sounds good. Diced eggs and grape tomatoes made fresh every day, served with charred tomato crispy red bell peppers and avocado lime ranch dressing. It's only 500 calories. It is the Cobb salad, available again here at Chick-fil-A The Crossings in North Johnson City. And if you want to cool down today, you would not want to go wrong with a frosted lemonade. Whew, that's some good stuff. You ever had one of those, Melissa? Frosted lemonade? They are very good. Frosted lemonade. It's getting hot. It's going to be in the 80s here all week here in the Tri-Cities area, so something to cool you down. Of course, the milkshakes work. The sweet tea is the best anywhere, but a frosted lemonade will set you free, so you want to check those out too at your Chick-fil-A here in the Crossings in North Johnson City. We'll take a quick break. We'll jump in here and come in with a little Major League Baseball. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to hear from Tyler Parsons. He has been promoted, and understandably so. This guy is on the move. He's a youngster, a young man who's doing fantastic for the Johnson City Cardinals. He has been promoted. We're going to talk about that. The Cardinals as a franchise heating up after a slow start in Big League Baseball. We'll go around the big leagues and also tell you that Johnson City's Daniel Norris pitches tonight. We'll tell you all about that coming up here on the Tom Taylor Sports Show. At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology is just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import and Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. Blue Lizard Australian sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance, we follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and done. We're your one-and-done location for all your insurance needs: auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400, your one-and-done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Hi, I'm Rob Cole with Bays Mountain Park. There's something for everyone at Bays Mountain Park. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast or simply looking to get away and relax, Bays Mountain Park in Kingsport, Tennessee is the perfect destination. For only $4 per vehicle, enjoy 3,500 acres of breathtaking scenery, featuring 40 miles of hiking trails, wildlife habitats, one of the Southeast's premier planetariums, and much, much more. For more information, please visit www.baysmountain.com or call us at 423-229-9447. Bays Mountain Park, one of the Tri-City's best places for learning, leisure, and recreation.
And Michael, the Tom Taylor Sports Show, thanks for being with us and live here again at Chick-Fil-A. Tomorrow we're going to be at Champion Chevrolet. Friday we'll be at Food City in downtown Kingsport for Midnight Madness. It's going to be a great time, all kinds of good specials. We're going to run those down for you. It's time again for the old Midnight Madness sale, and they rock at Food City. We'll tell you all about that. We're going to be on the road, as we said, at Food City in downtown Kingsport on Clinchfield Street, coming up again on Friday. Also on Thursday, tomorrow, 7 guests lined up and ready to go at Champion Chevrolet. We got them stacked up and ready to go. Tyler Parsons joins us coming up here in just a few minutes from the Johnson City Cardinals as we're here live at Chick-fil-A. Let's take a look at Major League Baseball. Young man last night hit for the circuit. How about that? This guy did it all last night. Trey Turner for the Washington Nationals at Coors Field against Colorado. This guy hit for the circuit in the first inning, single. Second inning, double down the left field line driving in 2. In the 6th inning, Turner cranked out a 2-run homer, and to cap it off, the hardest thing to do in the circuit, to have a single, double, home run, and a triple, and he did just that, had a triple. Again, a bases loaded, tripled home all 3 runners in the 7th innings. This guy had a career day in one game, and so Trey Turner, single, double, triple, and a home run, and so big night last night for Trey. Coors Field in Colorado. Here's the baseball scoreboard. Let's see just exactly who won and what went on yesterday in the bigs. Had a couple of rainouts. You had the Cubs blank Pittsburgh 1-0. Atlanta, New York rained out in New York. Miami at Philadelphia rained out. Milwaukee all over the Reds 9-1. They're coming back down to earth. Reds are now 10-11. Toronto beat the Cardinals 6-5-11. The game we were talking about, Washington in a football score beat Colorado 15-12. It was Arizona over San Diego 9-3, and the Dodgers last night on the left coast in San Francisco beat the Giants in San Fran. Dodgers 2, San Francisco 1. In the American League, Houston over Cleveland doubled them up 4-2. Tampa Bay shuts out Baltimore 2-0. Yankees and Boston and Fenway postponed due to rain, so the Eastern Seaboard saw rain in New York and Philadelphia and in Boston. All 3 of those cities had rained out games last night. How about this score? Detroit brings out the Lumber 19-9. Holy smokes, all over Seattle, 19-9. Minnesota beat Texas 8-1. Chicago doubles up Kansas City 10-5. It was on the left coast. The Angels, Albert Pujols and the boys defeat Oakland last night on the left coast. Final there was 2-1. Here's your schedule in Big League Baseball today. In the National League, 1 game, a day game in Milwaukee. The Reds, rookie Davis on the mound against Milwaukee in a 140 first pitch. Tonight under the lights, the Cubs in Pittsburgh, Miami at Philadelphia, Atlanta at New York, Syndergaard against Tehran, or Tehran for the Braves and Syndergaard for the Mets, Toronto at St. Louis, Washington at Colorado. You've got San Diego at Arizona, and the Dodgers at San Francisco in the National League. In the American League, 1 day game, Kansas City at Chicago against the White Sox. Tonight, under the lights, Houston at Cleveland, Tampa Bay at Baltimore. You've got the Yankees at Boston. You have Minnesota at Texas, Toronto interleague play in St. Louis against the Cardinals, and Oakland taking on the LA Angels again in Los Angeles. From a local standpoint, Daniel Norris from Johnson City on the mound tonight. A 7-10 first pitch. Norris with a record of 1-1, taking on, James Paxton, who's 2-0. Paxton and the Seattle Mariners in Detroit. Detroit got him last night 19-9. 7-10 first pitch. Seattle and Detroit, and you've got Daniel Norris 1-1 on the mound for the Tigers in Detroit. And of course, Daniel Norris from right here in Johnson City, and of course played his baseball at Science Hill High School. Major League Baseball, the Commissioner's Office suspending St. Louis Cardinal first baseman Matt Carpenter for one game for making contact. You don't do that. He bumped the official, and that's a no-no, so Matt Carpenter has to sit out a game because of that from the Commissioner's Office, which I guess could have been worse, but he bumped him, making contact with him during Sunday's game, and that, of course, is a no-no. Looking up and down the attendance, something's wrong here, and I don't know what it is, but the Astros and the Indians, for example, a 35,000-seat stadium, they had 14,000. Difference of about 21,000 empty seats there. Excuse me, the Cubs and the Pirates. So where are they playing that one? They're playing that one in Pittsburgh, PNC Park. 38,000 is capacity. They had 15,000 last night. 23,000 empty seats. In Detroit, 41,000 capacity. They had 22,000. Kind of getting the idea. Check this one out. In Baltimore. Wow. In Baltimore, a 45,000 seat stadium in Camden Yards, they had 11,000. Tyler's here. That's good stuff. So attendance is, in my humble opinion, way off of Major League Baseball. When you have 45,000 seat stadium, of course it is a weeknight. I get that. And the weather's kind of iffy up and down the East Coast, but still in Baltimore, 45,000 capacity. They got 11,000. A lot of empty seats. Pick your seats. Brewers and the Reds in Milwaukee, 41,000 capacity, 28,000. So, and last one, 48,000 capacity. Twins and the Rangers, you had 20,000 in that one. So, and they're playing that one in Texas, down in Arlington. So, anyway, that's what's going on in Major League Baseball. Some of the attendance numbers, but again, last night Trey Turner hit for the cycle, single, double, triple, and a homer. Young man, as the Nationals beat the Rockies, and a football score, 15-12. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. This guy is on the move, literally. He just got promoted, understandably so. We're going to talk about the Johnson City Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, Tyler Parsons, and all the above, and then some. This guy's the deal. Talk to him next. We're live here at the Tom Taylor Sports Show, show number 505. Tyler Parsons joins us next on the Tom Taylor Sports Show.
Any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-Fil-A. Over 10 to choose from. Perfect for having the gang over to watch the big game, birthday parties, church get-togethers, backyard gatherings, everything from fruit trays to garden salad trays to nuggets and chicken strip trays. And for the sweet tooth, try the cinnamon cluster or chocolate chunk cookie tray. So you see, any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-Fil-A. Chick-Fil-A at the Crossings in North Johnson City.
The deals are heating up for Truck Month at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. Over 300 new Chevys to choose from, all with incredible savings. $11,000 off MSRP on 16 Silverado All-Star Crew Cabs. Check out the savings online at championjc.com. 16 Silverado Crew Cab, $33,685. 16 Track, $17,460. 16 Equinox, $21,615. 16 Traverse, $27,365. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At American Import Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the 8 areas of your vehicle that takes constant continuing education is the air conditioner on your vehicle.
Well, you would think that AC would be a simple one, but it's getting to be a lot bigger than just AC. It's the management of the system, not just AC, but heat and everything. It's a lot more computer controlled than it used to be. It used to be just a little button on the dash that you pushed. Now there's all kinds of electronics involved in that. Braking systems used to be fairly simple. Now some of the newer vehicles, you have to have a computer to actually operate the braking system to make sure that it's okay after you've worked on it. Computer controlled of the engine is becoming very important. There's a lot to that. Each one of these areas, the technology has just tripled and quadrupled in the last few years. It's hard to keep up. You really need to stay in the books and know what's going on with them.
American Import Auto Repair, Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
And we're back live again. We're here again at Chick-Fil-A, the Crossings, North Johnson. Let's get that guy right there because we got to get him on the camera. Look there. Look at him. Got him a beard. I like the beard, man. The beard's coming in solid. Preseason beard. I'm jealous because back in the day, mine looked like that. But when you get a little bit more seasoned, it turns gray. Oh yeah, well, yeah. Now, would you ever let yours grown out? We're talking. Oh, did you really? That's a new word. Millennia. I can't even say it. Millennialized. He's grown up, is what it's all about. There you go. We're talking to our buddy Tyler Parsons. Hey, man, congratulations. Tell folks, since we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, he, deservedly so, by the way, has been promoted within the organization. Tell us what's going on. For you folks out of town, we picked up a lot of viewers since we were up the track last week. A lot of folks, and we appreciate that, have checking us out now on the show. So for folks who may not know, Johnson City Cardinals are here local, our rookie team in the Appalachian League. Tell us about the Tennessee Smokies down the road in Sevierville. He's now a gubernatorial candidate for the state of Tennessee to replace Bill Haslam on the Republican side of the ticket. So you'll hear a lot more about his boss in the next months, and you should if he's running for governor. He's going to be out and about and making his presence known. The St. Louis Cardinals are beginning to make their presence known. They started very slow. I noticed they're 9-11, so they're slowly coming up. And what do you attribute to the slow start? What do you attribute to the turnaround?
started off with as well, and had a lot of road games. Right now they started a 10-game homestand, which always helps to get your home stadium behind your home fans. So, the Cardinals, like I said, they always find a way. Obviously starting off 3-9 this year, everyone was a little nervous and a little worried. They've had so many moving parts this year, but that core has been there for a long time. Your guys like Vladimir Molina and Adam Wainwright, Matt Carpenter, and Matt Adams. Those guys are winners. They know how to win, and I have no doubt they'll find a way to get it turned around. And it'll be interesting to see how they keep transitioning that kind of stuff. But I think overall, and you mentioned this a little earlier, I heard you talking, there's a lot of parity in baseball right now. There's no one team that's really skyrocketing up there out of nowhere. So it's interesting to see how it shakes out. First 50, first 75 games.
Kind of the first 50 kind of give you a telltale what it's going to be for the season. And see, looking right now, where they've played 20 games are 9-11, so there's about 30 more games to kind of figure out their identity for the season. Not just them, but all the big league teams. We're talking to Tyler Parsons, Vice President and General Manager of the Johnson City Cardinals. Yeah, I love saying that. That's cool, and it's well deserved. This guy busted and does a wonderful job. Connie's taking pictures. Hi, Connie. That's our marketing lady, does a wonderful job. Now, for fans out there, I think you brought up a good point. Talking about the Cardinals having a 10-game homestand. Kind of step us through, folks, not around the sport that much, haven't played the game. There is a big difference being at your ballpark every day for, as you said, a 10-game homestand versus being the road team. Tell me about that. Something about home field in a lot of ways. Well, when you travel, and we know just as individuals or at families, you travel, you open yourself up to a lot of glitches and problems and things you're not looking for in unforeseen situations. It's no different than the big league ball club. I mean, everything's pretty well laid out, but there's always room for error when you're on the road. So a road team always is at a disadvantage than the home team. And so the Cardinals start that 10-game homestand. So we'll see how it shakes out for them. And again, we're talking to Vice President General Manager Tyler Parsons down the road tonight at the Smoky Stadium. Again, another rematch between Tennessee and East Tennessee State. Bucks behind my buddy Jamie McCann got them pretty good up here at 10-2 the first time out. So the Bucks with some momentum heading down to play tonight in the Severe Bowl. Tell me about that. You know, we had the Bucks in here last Monday because we were doing it's all running again. Yeah, it was last week. It was a long week last week with the Rays and the rain. But yeah, last Monday we were here, and the Bucks, 4 of their baseball players came over to promote the ball game against Virginia Tech that Chick-Fil-A hosted and sponsored, and the Bucks got them too. So they've beaten the 2 big boys at home this year. That's got to be great for recruiting for the program for Tony Skoll to beat Tennessee and Virginia Tech in Johnson City this year. Talking to Tyler Parsons, Vice President and General Manager of the Johnson City Cardinals. Speaking of talent, you heard him say 4 out of the last 7 they've presented rings in Johnson City to the Cardinals. So we're about, right around 60 days out from the start of the season. So tell me what's going on with the Johnson City Cardinals right now. You have no control either. No. Mm-hmm.
We were literally finalizing our roster as the bus was driving up last year to Johnson City. So our guys will be here on June 17th. Home opener on June 22nd. Not a lot of time in there to gel. We'll play some baseball and do it as we go, I guess.
In fact, yeah, on the fly, as they say. In fact, it's less than 60 days out. So for folks out there, tell us how many of the current St. Louis Cardinals at one point passed through or certainly got their start in Johnson City.
Put me on the spot, Tom. I like this.
Molina?
Yeah, Molina, Rosenthal, Matt Adams, Pete Cosmo, Greg Garcia, Alex Reyes, Johnson on IR right now.
There's 6.
There's some guys that have played there. Colby Rasmus was with us, Donovan Solano, Luke Gregerson. These are all guys that were here with Johnson. They were other teams. And of course, it's a crazy story for us, but Alan Cordova right now, 5 pick last year, was our starting shortstop. Johnson City Cardinals last year is now on the big league club with the San Diego Padres right now, hitting almost 300 playing for them. Incredible opportunity for him. We make the joke that usually guys in rookie ball, it takes 3 or 4 years for them to become the first member of the class to reach the big leagues. Alan got a pretty good jump at everybody. I think he got a really good start. Be that first guy in the big leagues, so I don't think there's going to probably be another guy from the 2016 class. I don't think the big leagues probably for another 2 years at that minimum. It's exciting to see him. You never know you're going to see. For him to be playing there at TVA Credit Union Ballpark really 6 months ago. Now he's playing at Petco Park there for the San Diego Padres.
We're talking again to, there's Mark Boggs from West Virginia. Hello, sir. How are you? Look at you. That's an old hillbilly. I went to high school with him. Don't get too. He has stories. I don't want him over here too close because we grew up together. He could tell. See, watch you. We could tell. He could tell stories on me. So, yeah, it was good to see you, my friend. Everything good? I hope. Everything good? Life treating you good? Everything good? Everything good?
Yeah, we're doing great.
Good. Oh yeah, awesome. It's good to see you. Every Wednesday. Yep. Every Wednesday. So, say hello to Mrs. for me, would you? Mrs. Ruth. Good job. So. Our buddy Mark Boggs, grew up with him. He has a lot of stories since we grew up. I want to keep him over there because he. Oh yes, everybody's got some stories. Oh yeah, but growing up, he can tell some of them it would be all true. So we'll let him go over there. Keep him at a distance. We're talking again to Tyler Parsons, Vice President and General Manager. So you mentioned 6, 7, 8 kids. They were kids when they came through. So the point of this is you got to get your season tickets because you truly are seeing the stars of tomorrow. Love every ballpark in the Appalachian League. I think they all have their own personality. But I got to tell you, when you come to one in Johnson City, it used to be called Cardinal Park. Now it is TVA Credit Union. It's got a personality. Oh, yeah, personality all of its own, doesn't it?
So I remember my first day coming to Johnson City, and they showed me that ballpark. I just kind of fell in love with the history you have. So.
It used to have the right field, of course, and the right field is gone. I mean, it used to be the bank going up right field,
yeah.
So it's out of there, and so and you also put down the artificial surface.
We did. We put the artificial turf down right now, and obviously Scientils, we don't take advantage of that right now, and that's been a great addition. We're probably gonna look at turfing the whole field with artificial surface probably here in the next 6 months or so. Just get it all done. With as much use as that field gets, it makes a lot of sense for us to do that and just get it all done. Replacing the lights here in September, and then we got some plans here probably in September to undergo some more major renovations to the Asheville facility to keep modernizing it a little bit and do some really cool stuff. So it's we're probably about a year away from having one of the premier low-level minor league baseball stadiums in the entire country. So
when you started the Appalachian League, there is a time frame. If they drafted Tyler Parsons or Tom Taylor, and is there a 2-year, 3-year? I mean, obviously you want them up there quick as possible. On the average, how long does it take from a young man to get from the Appalachian League to the bigs?
Appalachia to the bigs. Well, I mean, I tell people a lot of times for our tier, for us, you start talking about Johnson City. We are advanced rookie ball affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals, so we're actually the second tier for them. There's a GCL Cardinals below us, so a lot of guys that are international prospects will get assigned to the GCL first. They'll spend a year there. It's right there after spring training, so I get a chance to acclimate to pro ball and just the duties and requirements that come with that. And Johnson City, State College, Pennsylvania, Peoria, Illinois, Palm Beach, Florida, Springfield, Missouri, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Louis. There's a lot of tiers there, and it depends on the prospect. We've had guys that something that takes 4 or 5 years to get there, which maybe your guys you had that get here when they're 17 or 18 years old. We got a guy, Paul DeJong, played with me in 2015 here in Johnson City. Paul's in AAA right now, but he's probably the next guy that's going to get called up. He was a 2015 draft pick, so it might take him 2 years to get there. It all just depends on the prospect, and of course, obviously, Alan Cordova took him 6 months.
6 months, because he's that good.
Yeah.
So you truly do see the stars of tomorrow. That's my point. And so you got to get your season tickets. Again, Johnson City Cardinal Baseball 2017, inside of 60 days out to start the season. How do we get season tickets, and how much are they?
Season tickets, you can go right on our website at jccardinals.com. You can give us a call, 423-461-4866. Box seats are $135. General admission season tickets are $100. We also have 2 mini plans, a 12-game mini plan and a 6-game mini plan. $39 for the 12-game mini plan, $24 for a 6-game mini plan. Those are undated tickets. You can use those whenever you want and come out, kind of at your own will. So a lot of different options we have at the ballpark to bring everyone out, and we hope that we have a package that caters to every fan. And we love all the baseball stuff. We love all the NTR events and concerts and festivals we do, but there's nothing like us being able to walk in that stadium and see all of our friendly fans and those faces every season. That's what motivates us and drives us and inspires us to make that a really, really fun experience. And I love our fans. I think we have the best fans in baseball.
So I'm going to do the math here. 6-game package is how much?
$24.
That would be $4 a ticket. You can't go to a movie. I promise you can't go to a movie. You can't do many things for $4 anymore. And then the other 12-game.
12-game plan is $39. If you got this math on you.
Let's see. Here comes my Forrest Gump. Take my boots off here. That would be $3 and some change per ticket, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's don't push it.
I don't even know the exact one on that one. I should. Hopefully my ticket guy knows that one. So.
39, 12 and 39, let's see, 312s or 36. So you're talking $3 and some change per ticket for 12 games of Appalachian League baseball. Cannot touch it for that,
Can't beat
folks.
it.
No. And then on Mondays, you have that special promotion where on Mondays, the home games, it's a buck day, isn't it?
We do. Yep, $1 Mondays for us. Those are always a big night for everyone. And that night too we have it's $1 hot dogs, $1 chips, $1 candy, $1 soda, $1 Dr. Enough, $1 popcorn, and $1 beer. So you can't beat it. Like I said, you talk about the movie price, and on a Monday night you can come out for $20, bring a family of 4, feed everyone, and have a great time at the stadium.
There you go. Website is
jccardinals.com. So.
jccardinals.com. You got to check it
Yes,
out.
sir.
Get your tickets. Again, the Appalachian League here locally. Again, the Elizabethton Twins, the Bristol Pirates, Kingsport Mets, the Greenville Astros. Who am I leaving out? There's 5 of them. The Johnson City Cardinals.
Johnson, yeah, that's the best one, right? I gotta get my logo. Here we go.
Goodness gracious. Vice President, General Manager Tyler Parsons. We appreciate him very much.
Thanks for having me.
Stop by your man. You're awesome, and come back anytime you can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a pleasure, and like I said, thank you for everything you do for the minor league teams around here, and all the high schools, and really all the sports teams. This is awesome. We're more than happy to come here all the time. Like I said, you don't have to thank me. Thank you. So.
This guy's awesome. Vice President and General Manager. Let me tell you how dedicated this guy is. A couple of weeks ago, he had the wisdom tooth pulled. He said, I may come by. We're a mortgage investors group. And he walks in, and the guy looks like he's been hit upside the head with somebody boxed his ears. I said, you feeling okay? He said, he said, you want me to talk? I said, probably not. No, just going home, get some rest. But he, after having some teeth pulled, still came by and was willing to promote the Cardinals. That's a class act. That's why he got promoted in the organization, because he's top shelf, and we're glad to have him, glad to know him.
I was on some pretty good medicine that day, too, so I'm glad you didn't let me talk.
I could have asked him some interesting questions and got some interesting answers. I'm not sure I don't think he knew he was in Johnson City that day.
Yeah.
And he started to say, no, you don't want to talk. Go home and get some rest. So, anyway, great guy. I'll talk to you soon, all
Sounds
right?
good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's awesome. Quick break. We'll be right back. We're live again at Chick-Fil-A The Crossing in Johnson City. Vice President and General Manager of the Johnson City Cardinals, Tyler Parsons. Coming up next, we go to Virginia Talk NASCAR with Mike Hedrick here on the Tom Taylor Sports Show.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City takes care of both male and female customers, but owner Kim Smith says they have a special care and concern for ladies.
Being a female in what's considered a man's business, I understand the trepidation that women may have when they come to the shop. They feel like they don't know about cars, they might be intimidated, but that's not the way we do business. Everybody's treated the same. We take the time to explain anything that they have questions about, the repair, the process, the part. We want to make sure people are comfortable with what we're going to do to their vehicle and that they understand. We do cater to women in a sense. We have a real nice waiting room with nice Keurig coffee and flavored creamers, air-conditioned, cushioned seats, TV, everything a girl could want while she waits for her car to be fixed.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they treat thousands of patients each year dealing with diabetes and its effects. Diabetes overtaking our nation and leaving a path of destruction behind. Through wound care, office visits, and preventive care, they see most of the patients after a problem arises. Using diabetic footwear such as shoes and inserts, a great way to prevent or prolong skin breakdown and amputation. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they use only custom molds from patient mold inserts, which further ensure a great recovery, or better yet, prevents a wound from happening. They use custom molded shoes, bracing, custom inserts, and extra depth diabetic shoes to prevent wounds or other skin issues from beginning. Call today, 1-800-524-4447. 39 years, 6 locations, 1 family. Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, 1-800-524-4447. If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
And we're back again. We're live here at Chick-Fil-A The Crossing in North Johnson City. He's on the phone in Virginia. The NASCAR fan reporter, Mike Hedrick. Good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Man, we're doing great. Had an awesome time there at Bristol Motor Speedway for the weekend and all the great racing. And so back home, just kind of getting things going and ready for Richmond and all. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Again, we had a chance to meet you after all these months. You've been on the show as a contributor. And so you were there before we get into the race itself and kind of recapping the weekend. Tell me what Mike Hedrick did while he was at Bristol this week.
Man, I think the highlight of my whole trip is going to have to be I actually met Claudia Bird this time. Now, she's the wife of Jeff Bird, the former president there at Bristol Motor Speedway. And I made her a birdhouse, but it was actually a scale model replica of Bristol Motor Speedway. And I tried to just drop it off, but Ben Trout insisted that I actually give it to her. So I actually got to meet her, and it was such an honor, but I was so nervous because I wanted to let her know that besides scripture words and besides the words in red in the New Testament, no words besides her husband's of exceed expectations have been so profound to me. And so it was really humbling. I'm never nervous meeting anybody, Richard Petty, any of those. And I was just about nervous to tears meeting that lady.
Yeah, she's a class act, no question. She's been on the show many times, and Speedway Children's Charity has done a great job again raising money this weekend for the kids in our region, so I'm sure she was touched. And when I see her next time, when I put her on the show, I ask her about the special birdhouse she got from Mike Hedrick. That's good. That's another one of those cool things Mike Hedrick does all the time for folks. We talked last week about how he puts flags on graves during the holidays, so this guy's top shelf class act in my book, so let's jump in here and go. Let's see, what was your take of the racing this weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway?
Yeah, the racing was great. We started off on Saturday, a great day there with the Xfinity race. That was the Fitzgerald Glider Kits 300. That was classic Bristol racing. We had Eric Jones get his second win in a row right there, driving the number 22 or the number 20 JGR car. He did the classic bump and run on Kyle Larson with 2 laps to go, just moved him out of the way and went and got the win. That was great, didn't regret it at all. Later that day, they actually hooked us up with another race, the K&N Zombie Auto 125. That did get rained shortened just a little bit, and Harrison Burton got his very first NASCAR win. If you didn't know, Harrison Burton is the son of Jeff Burton, who is a former NASCAR driver and NBC commentary. But really, the best thing about it was the Food City 500. Sure, it was wound up being on Monday because of the rain, all that rain. But I want to right now go ahead and squash a myth that everybody always says that it always rains in Bristol. And I did my research, and it's actually only been delayed or postponed just 3 times in 56-year history. So that's just 3 out of 112 Cup races. That is not rained out. And Ben Trout definitely wanted me to let people know that it's not a rainy kind of a thing. But it did rain this time. And so they raced on Monday, and all the rubber had been washed off the track. It was cooler temperatures. They came in that morning. They put down 3-foot strip of that new grippy stuff right there. So it really made it a crew chief's head scratcher. I mean, you had a bottom groove that was sticky. You had the upper groove that everybody knew was going to be fast. Man, they were in the middle groove that was full at times, and even 4 wide at some times. So it was great racing. The young guns were very good, very strong, very early. Kyle Larson, he led 202 laps. Elliott was up there. Stenhouse had a great race, and so did Eric Jones in the 77 until he wrecked out. But you know what? The veterans wound up stalking him down. Jimmy Johnson goes on to get his second win of the season. He led 81 laps, and right behind him were veterans Boyer, Harvick, Kenseth, Logano. So the veterans are all up there. Dale Jr., he had a little bit of an oil cooler failure, and he wound up wrecking out. Kyle Busch overheated his tires. He blew the tire bead. He wrecked. He still blamed Goodyear. But yeah, he did that on his own. So really, that was some of the best NASCAR racing of the entire season. And if people don't like that, then I got to question if they really know what good racing is.
Preach it, brother. I thought for the last 16, 17 years I've been up at the track, that's some of the best racing. It was Logano and Johnson. Look at Kyle Larson, got penalized for coming in the pit road too fast. Got put to the back of the field. A guy rockets up to the field. And I'll make this prediction. It's easy to say this in hindsight. Giving up 4 or 5 laps that race, he may have caught and beat Jimmy Johnson, but this kid can drive a race car, so I thought the racing was fantastic. And so, the Xfinity Series, you saw Ross Chastain and Jeremy Clements get a little mix-up, and Jeremy was the worst of those two. Got his face pounded pretty good. Had a little fight down in the pits during the rain delay on Saturday. Harrison Burton, what a class act. Had a chance to interview him in Victory Lane. Such a humble young man. I say young man, I think he's 15, 16 years old. Jeff Burton's son, legendary NASCAR driver. So just a great weekend. Yes, it did rain, but when they got it out on the track and got bumping and grinding, you got treated some great racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. And so of course, since then, Mike Hedrick, we're talking to Mike Hedrick up in Virginia on the phone, the NASCAR fans reporter here on the Tom Taylor Sports Show. Coming up, by the way, we're going to talk National Hockey, the NBA, got some college football, the North Carolina Tar Heels. First they said yes, then they said no. We'll tell you about that. Some of the guys are not going to turn pro. We'll tell you about that coming up in a few minutes. But Mike Hedrick, the big story in NASCAR, no question, the most popular driver, 14 years in a row, is stepping away from the sport at the end of the season. Tell me about it.
But you know what? I actually one signed contract extension. Most contracts are signed season, but he was waiting for this. and I predicted he's in one of the final year. Jeff. Now, why now? He had a great conference yesterday and really said he just came down to he wanted to go out when he was last year with 18 races because of the concussion. He thought kind of the decision was being made for him, and he didn't really like that. He wanted to be his own man. He said a lot of live, a lot to do there for wife. He even, and now he's dead.
Yeah, it sounds like we're having some phone troubles with Mike. Mike, move wherever you were to start the interview because it was clear. Now you're cutting in and out on me pretty bad.
Okay, well, how about over here? Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Start over now. Tell me about Dale Jr. And we lost all of that conversation. Start over, please.
Okay. We all want to know why he did this. And he said the 8 cases, the decision, and he good life to live, and he wants to enjoy time with Amy. He said he still will be racing. He's got his Xfinity team. He's scheduled to race with them 2 more times next year. And he also said he wanted to be a big part of NASCAR. So maybe we'll see him be the next NASCAR president after Mike Hilton or something like that.
You never know. Again, we're talking to our buddy Mike Hedrick. I think the phone's a little bit better now. So you had a chance to catch up with Goldberg, the legendary wrestler Bill Goldberg. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Bill Goldberg comes to the spring races to do the driver introduction. So this is the 3rd year. We've had him on the pit road party zone down there for me to interview. Now, I was interviewing him up in the suite because of the rain and all that, and he had some great comments about the comparisons between wrestling and NASCAR. One part, he said that both sports, we lost 2 generations of fans because they were self-absorbed. And he's right. If you look at NASCAR fans, they're either grandparents or they're really young kids. We're missing the 25 to the 40-year-olds. And he said, well, and his next point was, well, do you go after that or you just skip them and go after the young kids? I think NASCAR is probably discussing that. That was a good point. The second point was that most NASCAR drivers are a little too friendly with each other, and there's not as many of the real characters or the black hats. And we agreed that Kyle Busch and Harvick and Logano, those guys will slap a black hat on, but very few are the other ones. And we also made the point that, they're just getting a little comfortable as a community. I mean, the example, Ryan Blaney, him and Dale get into it a few weeks ago. He wound up calling Dale a 4-letter word. Later, he retracts that. And why did he retract it? Because he rents a house from Dale Jr. himself. So those are just a couple of good points that Mr. Bill Goldberg said. I think that's a lot to think about. They do need more characters, just like wrestling needs more characters that bring in the fan. And sometimes that means putting on the black hat, moving somebody, doing something, going after them in the pits, bumping them and running.
Well, we're talking about the Xfinity race. You see Ross Chastain and Jeremy Clemens get mixed up. So, yeah, that sells tickets, and we probably need some more villains in the sport. Unfortunately, that sells tickets as well. So, going forward again for Richmond this weekend, what do you see? It's up there in your neck of the woods.
Well, it's going to be a great race, and they got the Toyota Owners 400. And you know what? RIR is a great short track. It's just a 3/4 mile track. It's got 14-degree banking, 8 degree in the front stretch, and 2 degrees in the back stretch. Hey, last year it got swept by Joe Gibbs Racing. Carl Edwards won the spring race. Denny Hamlin won the last race before the chase. And both of them started from the pole. So even with a really slow start and actually 0 wins for Joe Gibbs Racing, which is highly unusual, I'm looking for them to come back and do a nice rebound. It's Hamlin's home track. He's always good there. Kyle Busch is good there. So, maybe we see a Gibbs come back. A tire note, Goodyear will try to lay some rubber down at RIR. Over the last couple of years, Richmond is now actually considered a high tire wear track. So they brought a new combination last year, and they're hoping to lay some of that rubber down on there, and they're hoping to get that multi-groove racing that we saw in Bristol Motor Speedway this last week.
We're talking to Mike Hedrick. Before I let you go, again, tell me, Dale Jr., how do you replace him? You have 3 star powers stepping away in the last year and a half. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and now Dale Jr. by the end of the season. Who steps up and fills that star power for NASCAR to keep it going?
Okay, here's where I'm going with another prediction here, because I think you've got the number 48 car. That's Johnson. He's solid. He's a veteran. He's there for another 5 years. You got Chase Elliott in the 24. He's young. He's your young guy. I think they're going to fill it with Ryan Blaney. I think they're going to be able to get him away from that one-car Wood Brothers team, and he is a young gun. He's on fire. He's aggressive. He's a name in the sport. He comes from a name. So I'm looking for Ryan Blaney to go to that seat.
So if you're Rick Hendrick, do you go after Blaney? Do you go after Carl Edwards, lure him out of retirement with the big bucks? Is Edwards under contract, stay with Gibbs? Do you go get Martin Truex Jr.? Who do you get, or let me rephrase that, who is going to be the face of NASCAR with Junior, the most popular driver after the last 14 years, stepping away? Who's going to fill that void as the most popular driver amongst the fans?
I think it's going to be Chase Elliott. I think he's already really popular with those. Bringing in Carl Edwards, that's a good one. He's a veteran, but I think that's really a short-term fix. And I think these big teams really need to have a couple of veterans and a couple of young guys. I think you're going to see that same kind of a change at Stewart-Haas Racing. Probably see Danica come up out of there here before too long because they've got some good veterans in there, but they need a young gun in there to be their next generation as well.
There you go. Great report, my friend. Thank you for checking in with us. We'll check in with you next week after Richmond and see what happens after the racing at RIR, all right?
All right, have a good one, and God bless you real good, big guy.
Yes, sir. Good man right there. Enjoyed meeting him again last week at Bristol Motor Speedway. Mike Hedrick on the phone with us from Virginia, the NASCAR Fans Reporter. Quick break. We'll be right back. We'll jump in and talk college basketball, college football, the NBA, the National Hockey League, and, oh, yeah, Dave Angie joins us coming up in a few minutes from the John City Press. Show number 505. We're here at Chick-Fil-A. Tomorrow will be at Champion Chevrolet right down the road here in Johnson City. Then on Friday we'll be at Food City for the Midnight Madness sale, and this time around we'll be at Food City in downtown Kingsport on Clinchfield Street. Tommy Stanley's store. We'll be there at his place coming up again on Friday. Quick break. We'll be right back. Show number 505. You are watching, listening to the Tom Taylor Sports Show.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
American Import Auto Repair in Johnson City takes care of both male and female customers, but owner Kim Smith says they have a special care and concern for ladies.
Being a female in what's considered a man's business, I understand the trepidation that women may have when they come to the shop. They feel like they don't know about cars, they might be intimidated, but that's not the way we do business. Everybody's treated the same. We take the time to explain anything that they have questions about, the repair, the process, the part. We want to make sure people are comfortable with what we're going to do to their vehicle and that they understand. We do cater to women in a sense. We have a real nice waiting room with nice Keurig coffee and flavored creamers, air-conditioned, cushioned seats, TV, everything a girl could want while she waits for her car to be fixed.
American Import Auto Repair in Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
It's Friday night at 7 o'clock. You've been involved in a car accident. You may be out of state on vacation or just a few miles from home. What do you do? Who do you call? At Farmers Insurance Group, one call is all you have to make. Hello, this is Jim Klein, an agent with Farmers Insurance. It's called One and Done. You don't have to wait till Monday morning to file a claim. You can make the initial call and we'll begin right away to help you. We assist you in moving the vehicle to a certified repair shop, getting you set up with rental car, and informing your agent. Then here at the staff at Jim Klein Farmers Insurance, we follow the claim through to the end. It's that easy. One and Done. We're your one and done location for all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, commercial, workers' comp, and bonds. We can help you with all your insurance needs. Give me a call today, Jim Klein Farmers Insurance at 247-5400. Your one and done location in Kingsport, 247-5400.
Any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-Fil-A. Over 10 to choose from. Perfect for having the gang over to watch the big game, birthday parties, church get-togethers, backyard gatherings, everything from fruit trays to garden salad trays to nuggets and chicken strip trays. And for the sweet tooth, try the cinnamon cluster or chocolate chunk cookie tray. So you see, any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-Fil-A. Chick-Fil-A at the Crossings in North Johnson City.
Back live here again at the Tom Taylor Sports Show. We're live again at Chick-Fil-A, the Crossings in North Johnson City on this Wednesday. Again, we are looking on April the 26th. By the way, totally sports related, but a young lady having a birthday today, one of the funniest ladies ever, Carol Burnett, having a birthday today. And tell you what, go back and watch some of her shows with Harvey Korman and Tim Conway and Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett having a birthday. She's 84 today. Not sports related, but still, you're 84 and you're Carol Burnett. You deserve to be on a sports show. So happy birthday to Carol Burnett, 84 years young today. I think that's pretty cool. Tom Taylor Sports Show, thanks for being with us. We are live again at Chick-Fil-A in the Crossings in North Johnson City. Coming up, we'll be joined by Dave Angie from the Johnson City Press. Let's take a look again at what happened last night of the NBA, as basketball was front and center as it is in the NBA playoffs. And let's see, last night it was some teams being sent home, some elimination games, if you will. And so the NBA last night, you know what I'm doing. I'm trying to find my paper. Dadgummit, I had it. And what do I do with it? Yep, we're going to find it. Because I ran it off, we're going to find the darn thing. See, this is how I get. All right, maybe not. Let's move on to the show. But it was here. I just had it 5 minutes ago. There's a story on the Raiders, a story on Jim Harbaugh. Let's see. There's the National Hockey League. Unbelievable. Just kind of vamoosed. All right, here we go. Let's run them through nonetheless. Last night of the NBA, it was wins by the San Antonio Spurs as they move on and tie this thing 3-2. Spurs 116-103. They lead the series now, as we said, 3-2. They'll play again tomorrow night in Memphis and move to Memphis in Game 6. Also last night, Houston eliminates Oklahoma City 105-99. Houston wins that series 4-1. They'll wait the winner of the Spurs-Grizzlies matchup. And Utah last night, Utah goes up 3-2. Told you a couple of weeks ago that would be a dark horse in the NBA, and it is. Utah defeated the LA Clippers last night, 96-92, so they go up 3-2 in their best of 7. Tonight, the Hawks in Washington to take on the Wizards. Atlanta and Washington tied at 2 games apiece. Also tonight, Chicago, the Bulls, back in Beantown, take on the Celtics, and that series is tied up 2 games apiece in the NBA. In the National Hockey League, let's run those down for you because they start some very interesting series tonight in the Stanley Cup. We'll start, of course, the one involving our team out of the great state of Tennessee, the Nashville Predators. The Predators will take on the St. Louis Blues, and so Game 1 tonight, Game 1 and 2 in St. Louis, Games 3 and 4 in Nashville. Then it's 2-2, 1-1-1 in the best of 7. First 2 in St. Louis, second 2 in Nashville. They'll play in Nashville April the 30th and May the 2nd. And so the Predators, who was not given much of a chance by anybody on the national scope to defeat the Blackhawks, did it. And so they're a hot hockey team. They'll take on the Blues, who had a little trouble fending off the Minnesota Wild. So I would think advantage to the Predators right now. They had a tougher series, take on the Blackhawks, moving in to take on Chicago, and did just that. They swept them. And so the Predators move in to open up a series tonight against the St. Louis Blues in the Western Conference. Also, Anaheim and Edmonton. Anaheim cruised past to the Pacific Division rival Calgary for a 4-0 sweep. Now the Ducks face a more formidable offensive opponent in the Oilers, another Pacific foe, for round 2 matchup. And so the first will be in Anaheim starting tonight. In the Eastern Conference, you have the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. The President's Trophy winning Capitals got by the energetic Toronto Maple Leafs, turn a shot at dethroning the defending champion Pens, who wasted no time showcasing how good they are offensively in the 4-1 rout in the series 4-1 over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Then also in the Eastern Conference, it's Ottawa and the New York Rangers. By the way, the first 2 in Washington in that series. Then they'll shift to Pittsburgh. And so the final one, Ottawa and the Rangers. A Game 1 loss to the Boston Bruins did not throw the Senators off balance despite some spotty officiating. Ottawa faces a taller challenge in New York, which got enough play when it needed to beat the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games. So you got 8 teams left in the Eastern Conference, the Capitals and the defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. Also the Ottawa Senators and the New York Rangers. In the Western Conference, the Predators and the St. Louis Blues, and the Anaheim Ducks, the Edmonton Oilers, and the National Hockey League. And that starts tonight. The skating on the ice, as we said, in the NHL. And it gets going tonight in the National Hockey League for The Nashville at St. Louis, and Edmonton skates at Anaheim tonight. Tomorrow night, Rangers in Ottawa, and the Pittsburgh Penguins will be in Washington. So that's what's happening there. A little closer to home, coming up on Friday, street fights pick back up. And we'll crank it up with the DER Bracket Series, actually. Won't be the street fights, but the DER Bracket Series starting Friday through Sunday at Bristol Dragway. Test and tune on Friday and racing on Saturday and Sunday. The DER Bracket Series at Bristol Dragway, again, coming up this weekend at Bristol Dragway. Something we haven't talked a whole lot about. We're going to wait till Dave Angie gets in here in a few minutes to do just that. And that would be, of course, the NFL draft that starts tomorrow. And so a lot of guys out there, and we're going to run down the top 10 picks of the draft for the NFL, who's out there that can be picked up. I guess the top 10 individuals that should go high in first round of the draft. Your top 10 teams getting draft picks: the Cleveland Browns, the San Francisco 49ers, the Chicago Bears, Jacksonville. Tennessee gets the fifth round pick from the LA Rams. Then you have the New York Jets, the LA Chargers, Carolina, the Cincinnati Bengals will pick 9th, and the Buffalo Bills will pick 10th. The team that really matters, the Raiders. The Oakland Raiders will pick 24. That's my boys. And so the NFL draft in Philadelphia starting tomorrow, first round. And so we'll kind of talk about that with Dave Angie coming up here in a few minutes. High school baseball is running down for you locally. Cobb County beat Cherokee yesterday 11-9. Dobbins Minute shuts out Central 5-0. Granger over Claiborne 5-3. Greenville 9, West Green 1. Jeff County beats Al Doyle 5-3. Morristown West over Knox Catholic in baseball 6-1. Science Hill defeats Tennessee High 9-4. Seymour beats Sevier County 7-5. South blanks Johnson County 10-0. University High 3 and Unaka 2 in high school baseball. In Southwest Virginia baseball yesterday, Castlewood over Thomas Walker 7-6. Eastside beat J.I. Burton 5-10-0. Gate City 11, Lehigh 2. It was John Battle 11, Union 1. Lebanon beat Richlands 13-8. And Twin Springs, Bragging Rights of Scott County take 2 from Rye Cove, 8-3 and 5-0 in high school baseball. In softball, Daniel Boone just keeps on keeping on. 23 wins in a row now, is that right? Boone over Tennessee High 13-0. Granger beat Claiborne 2-0. Morristown West beat Claiborne beat Granger, I should say, 1-0. Cosby over Northview Academy twice, 15-2 and 8-0. It was Crockett defeating Science Hill in softball 5-4. Daniel Boone keeps on keeping on. They beat Volunteer 14-1. Jefferson County over Cherokee 7-5. DB in 9 innings beat Tennessee High in a tight one 7-6. Morristown East beat Seymour 10-0. Morristown West Lady Trojans over Cock County. Sullivan East, the Lady Patriots beat Johnson County 10-3. West Green over Cumberland Gap 6-5 in Tennessee softball. Again in Southwest Virginia, Gate City's Lady Blue Devils over Lehigh 5-1. Richlands over Lebanon 4-2. Rye Cove 7, Twin Springs 4 in Scott County, Virginia softball action. Ridgeview beat Wise Central 4-2. And that's your action yesterday in softball around Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. Soccer from yesterday. You had Dobbins Minute beating Volunteer 14-2. Jeff County on the soccer field blanks Seymour 4-0. Sullivan South blanks University High 2-0. Unicoi County beats Hampton and boys soccer 9-2. And that's a look at soccer action around Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. Speaking of softball, before we go to the break, Dave Angie's here. He'll join us in just a second. You have softball, the Appalachian Athletic Conference softball tournament at the Brickyard in Kingsport. Started at 11 o'clock this morning. Number 4, Tennessee Wesleyan takes on number 5, Point. At 1 o'clock, coming up here in just a little while, number 1, Reinhardt takes on number 8, St. Andrews. Milligan, the Lady Buffaloes, play at 3. They're the number 7 seed against the number 2 seed, Bryan. And then at 5 o'clock, the number 3 seed, Union, takes on the ladies from Truett McConnell at 5 o'clock. And that's 3 versus 6. That's the AAC softball tournament at the Brickyard in Kingsport. So that's a look there at sports, and that's what's going on. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. He's in here. We're going to recap a big weekend of racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. We got the NFL draft. His team's over in Italy eating pizza. We'll find out all the good things going on with my man Dave Angie, sports writer of the John Cedar Press. He joins us coming up next on show number 505. He'll be with us after the break here on the Tom Taylor Sports Show.
At American Import Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the things that owner Tim Smith is most proud of is their hard-earned certifications.
We are an ASE Blue Seal shop, which is important because what it tells the customer is we care enough to get certified, not in one certain area of cars, you have to be certified in 8 different certifications and 8 different tests you have to take, and you have to be updated on them yearly to make sure that you're up to date. We not only have one of those, we have 3 ASE Master Technicians here. With the ratio, it goes into a ratio, and we're a Blue Seal shop, so it tells you that we care about training and we care about knowing about your car. We want to help fix it right.
American Import and Auto Repair, West Market Street, Johnson City, home of the free loaner car program. Open 6 days a week. Call today, 913-3111.
Hi, I'm Rob Cole with Bays Mountain Park. There's something for everyone at Bays Mountain Park. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast or simply looking to get away and relax, Bays Mountain Park in Kingsport, Tennessee is the perfect destination. For only $4 per vehicle, enjoy 3,500 acres of breathtaking scenery, featuring 40 miles of hiking trails, wildlife habitat, one of the Southeast's premier planetariums, and much, much more. For more information, please visit www.baysmountain.com or call us at 423-229-9447. Bays Mountain Park, one of the Tri-City's best places for learning, leisure, and recreation.
If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
And we're back live again at the Chick-Fil-A here in the crossing of North Johnson City. Look at him right there. Fresh off a big weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway covering the race. Our buddy Dave Angie, the Johnson City Press. And we say good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I forgot about that button again, didn't I?
Yeah, let's see.
You got it?
There, okay. Your headset, too, and you're clicking.
I'm on. All right.
Look at you. You're on, baby.
Well, I'll say it again. I'm fantastic. I'm doing well. I'll tell you, 4 days up there. We were both up there for 4 days, and yeah, all except Sunday. It was the other 3 were a good time. I mean, I can't remember the last time in a cup race I've had that much to write about. I think, flag to flag, 500 laps. Now, we've had some great finishes there during the time I've been there. I've been covering racing there 12 years, but, just wire to wire, the most entertaining race I've ever seen there. Just so much going on. The track came and it went, and you saw Larson early dominant. Then he couldn't figure it out, couldn't get his car in the low groove, and Jimmy Johnson, that 48 team, figured it out. I'll tell you, it was fun to watch all day.
Well, I've been on social media because I usually don't get on there because a lot of these people don't have a clue. And so if you get on there and complain about the racing, and as Mike Hedrick said earlier, if you complain about the rainouts at Bristol, we went back and looked. Out of the Cup races, we've had 3 races either postponed. Well, postponed had to be run on Monday. Out of 56 Cup races, I don't have that stat, but Mike Hedrick had that stat. We checked in with us from Northern Virginia, our NASCAR fans reporter. So, the fact that it's always raining in Bristol, no, that's hogwash. That's not true. And so, anyway, take that apart, put them out on the track, give you 500 laps on Monday. Fantastic racing. Remember the name. He mentioned it, Kyle Larson. This kid can flat drive a race car. He was dominant on Saturday. He was certainly dominant on Monday. And this guy can do it late in the race. He got penalized for going too fast on pit roads. They put him in the back of the field. Next thing I know, this guy rockets up through the field like a ship on rails, and I still say another 4 or 5 laps he'd have won the race.
Yeah, he possibly could have. The one thing he wasn't sure about, though, I think what really hurt him and kept him from having that chance was the fact that that he had Harvick out there in front of him riding the same line. Now, we talked about it, I think, last week or at some point, but the people that win at Bristol are the ones in this new configuration that can pass high or pass low. And I think when we saw Larson dominating early in both of those races, the Xfinity and Cup races, he was able to go high or low to pass people. I mean, he was all over the track. He was hooked in. But I think at the end of the race, the high line was his only chance. And when he had Harvick kind of blocking him up there, that kept him from maybe getting up to getting to Johnson and Boyer. But, of course, those two, the way they were hooked up on the bottom, Larson said himself after the race he wasn't sure if he could do anything with them or not. But really, he went back to that penalty because, when he got the penalty, he had to put 2 tires on instead of 4. And that kind of put him in a box. The tires weren't as good. And I think that's the other thing. Tire wear is something that creates good racing as well. And we haven't seen that as much, but I think Goodyear brought a really good compound to the track this year because the drivers that either didn't take tires at the end, like Denny Hamlin, he dropped like a rock. Larson couldn't go where he needed to go on the track because he had 2 tires, and the drivers with 4, Boyer and Johnson, were the 2 that were fighting for the win there at the end. So all around, I think everything that they try to do at the track there is wonderful. I wouldn't be surprised if other tracks start trying this stuff, this VHT, especially somewhere like Dover that's also concrete, because it really sticks well to concrete, and I think it opens up a whole new world in racetrack design, of saying, okay, well, this groove, nobody's been able to drive it for years. Well, this stuff, we put it down. We're going to have a groove where we haven't before, and it'll help them kind of fix the racing at a lot of places.
Imitation, the sincerest form of flattery. He's right. Don't be surprised if other tracks don't go, they did it at Bristol, we can do it at our track, because we usually are on the cutting edge of everything going on in NASCAR more times than not. You look at the points heading off to Richmond, Kyle Larson with a 27-point lead over Martin Truex. With Chase Elliott, a 37-point lead over Martin Truex Jr. Then you have Joey Logano, who was in the hunt on Monday. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, who won the race. Jamie McMurray had a solid run. Clint Boyer, here this guy again comes up to the field and finishes second. And then Kevin Harvick and Ryan Blaney topping off the top 10 in points heading off to Richmond. So Logano, McMurray, Boyer, Harvick was up there running, had the lead for a couple of laps for a while. So you had a lot of different the big dogs up there, and you had some up-and-comers up there too. It really made for great racing.
Yeah, definitely, and to see the young drivers run so well was really nice to see. And like I say about Kyle Larson, every time he comes to Bristol, he's the car that you're just glued to. I don't know about how it is for everybody else, but for me, sitting up in the press box, even when he fell back, and had that penalty, they put him at the back of the pack. I got excited, like I do about Kyle Busch at times. We've seen Kyle Busch get put to the back of the field, especially in Xfinity races. You're like, man, let's watch him carve his way to the front, because that's more entertaining than what you'll see anywhere else. And Larson was coming back through after he got put back there. He was around 20th or so, I think, and as he was cutting through those cars, he was going 3 wide. He was all over creation, trying to get back to the front. And it's fun to watch him drive a race car, and there's more and more of those guys coming in that I can say that about. I think the same is true for Chase Elliott, and some of the young guys, Blaney as well. It was really fun to watch Saturday and fun to watch him on Monday. He had some handling problems, but just a lot of good young drivers to be excited about, and that's a good thing for NASCAR under the circumstances they now kind of find themselves in.
You know what he's talking about, the fact that the most popular driver in 14 straight years, Dale Jr., stepping away from the sport at the end of the season. Your initial reaction, your thoughts, kind of step through what you think what this is all about. And I will say this going into the interview, as we said earlier when I read part of this transcript, this was decided back on March the 29th. This was not a snap decision. He went to Rick Hendrick back on March the 29th, sat down and said, here's what I'm going to do. Now, I don't know whether he said when he was going to do it, but he did say he was going to do it, step away at the end of the year. So your take on all this with Dale Jr.?
It's interesting, and I've read a lot of other writers, and most of them they may not have put it in the same words, but you can kind of sense a little bit of relief from them, the relief, which kind of sounds odd, because I don't ever hear that, kind of thrown around with other retirements of famous athletes. You always are like, man, it's the end of an era, I wish they could have another year or two, but a lot of people are relieved for Junior just because of all the pressure he's had on him from the minute he climbed in a race car because of who his dad was, and it's been rough. This guy's won a lot of races. He's won 2 Daytona 500s, a successful career, but anything short of those 7 championships, people are unfairly going to call him overrated and jump his case. And, I think through all that, he's been the most genuine guy of anybody. And if you listen to the way he answered the questions yesterday and the way he always answers questions, he puts thought into it, and what you're getting isn't corporate speak. You're getting a genuine opinion of a guy who really, I think, has grown into a wonderful man, and he's now married. And I think part of what may have led to this a little bit after the concussion stuff last year, if you remember Dale Earnhardt Sr., kind of at the end of his life, and everybody talks about it all the time. He was the happiest he'd ever been, and he was getting ready to really settle in and enjoy family life, and racing wasn't everything to him anymore. It was about family, and he was getting ready to just usher in a time in his life where, he was going to really be able to enjoy the benefits of what he had worked so hard for so many years for. And I think, Junior looked at that and said, well, I'm to the point now, another serious head injury, I might not be able to leave on my own terms, and I might not be able to enjoy what I've worked for and what I have now. So I think that had to have played into it as well.
Great point. Again, we're talking to Dave Onge. You see on the screen our buddy of the Johnson City Press. We're live here at Chick-Fil-A. Tomorrow we're going to be at Champion Chevrolet. Friday it's Midnight Madness. So we're going to be at Food City. On Friday we'll be at Food City in downtown Kingsport on Clinchfield Street, getting ready for the big Friday Midnight Madness sale. But Dave's here with us. We're going to talk in a few minutes. We'll take a break, and we'll wrap up our NASCAR segment, talk a little NFL draft, and talk about his guy, Harbaugh, over in Italy, doing it again. Pushing the envelope as only he can do. We'll talk about that and some other topics as well here in a few minutes. But the obvious $100,000 question, who replaces Dale Jr.? I'm sure that's already been discussed behind closed doors at Rick Hendrick. There's lots of variables. Do you go get a up-and-coming kid that's coming up and grooming? You go get another driver from another camp, like a Truex or a Larson, or do you lure Carl Edwards out of retirement? I don't know if he's contractually bound to Joe Gibbs, and he can't do that, but there's lots of what-ifs, and that's the $100,000 question. Obviously, Dave Onge, whoever gets that seat, he's going to have some good equipment. I would assume Nationwide will hang as the primary sponsor. It remains to be seen, but again, Rick Hendrick Motorsports, great equipment, great support, great marketing, so whoever gets that ride, much like Boyer got that ride for Tony Stewart, it's going to be set. So who do you think, speculate, who do you think may get it?
It's there's going to be a lot of pressure, in that car, and people have talked about Carl Edwards a lot. I personally think that, when you look at how grueling and how long these seasons are, and how focused these drivers have to be, just to get that extra 5/100ths of a second that Jimmy Johnson was talking about this weekend, in order to win races, I don't think you go get Carl Edwards, because this is a guy that he just left, and he left because of, I think in part because of burnout, and in part because he's a little bit worried about his health and everything else, which those are all fine reasons to leave. But if he were to just get lured back because he has a ride with all this money, you wonder, are you going to get the results from this guy? Is he going to be that committed? So I think you maybe get a younger driver. I think, and of course everybody knows now, I'm a huge Kyle Larson fan in terms of his ability. If you can get him and lure him over and put him in a car, I don't know where he's at contractually with sponsorship and everything else. Sometimes that's hard to do if a guy's under contract. That would be obviously the first choice, in my book. I think after that, Hendrick does have a good bunch of young drivers. When you look at who he's put in his development program, the Byron kid, William Byron's a young guy that really, I think has really shown a lot. Alex Bowman, he was pretty close to winning at Phoenix in that 88 last year. So, he's a guy that doesn't have the name recognition, but is a solid driver. So, but as you know, in NASCAR, it comes down to that marriage between sponsorship and ability. You have to be able to keep the big money sponsor, and you also have to have the ability. So, I don't know if Bowman's going to be the guy for that. So, it'll be interesting, and that will be the talk of the garage until that seat is filled. Because it's a really high-profile deal, and it's going to be a while till I think they have it ironed out, just because it takes so much lining up sponsors and everything else. But there'll be a lot of talk and gossip about that moving forward.
I'm going to throw out some names. You say yay or nay. All right. Chris Buescher, Roush Fenway.
No.
Okay. AJ Allmendinger.
Interesting, but no, I don't think so.
Eric Almirola.
And no, I don't think that one would work either.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Now that is interesting. That's an intriguing one right there. I think that guy has tremendous talent as a driver. I think he's also attractive to sponsors, and I think he, has kind of, just interviewing him in the past, a lot of the similar characteristics that Earnhardt has, and appeals to the same fan base possibly, if given the opportunity. Yeah, there's one I could see that working.
Elliott Sadler, already driving for JR Motorsports.
I think it's a little bit too late for him. 5 years ago, I thought he was getting a cup ride, and now I think he's a little bit beyond that.
Would you, Danica Patrick?
No.
Okay.
No, not unless the deal with Danica, and I think it's proven at this point. If you need the sponsorship money, and you are desperate for the sponsorship money, that's somebody you hire, her or Paul Menard, because Menard, of course, his father, owns the big whatever the company is, Menards, and he brings that sponsorship with him. And I think those two drivers, if you need sponsorship, I think you bring them in, but you're not looking for results out of them, I don't think. Not at the high level that the 88 team has run over the years.
All right, let me throw a couple more out to you before we take a break here. Justin Allgaier.
I like Justin Allgaier so much. I really do. But I don't know if that's going to be a guy that works. I think he's proven himself on short tracks primarily. I just don't know if he has what it takes to take that seat.
Trevor Bayne.
Oh, that's a good one. I like Trevor. See, these are people now that I like, so I'm having a hard time saying no. But no, those two, no. It's not going to happen, I don't think.
Let's see. We mentioned William Byron, Elliott Sadler, Daniel Hemrick had won the Dash for Cash the other day. What about Eric Jones?
I'll tell you, I like Eric Jones. The problem is, he's incredibly talented, but for him moving over to Toyota, that can create some problems when you're switching between manufacturers. I mean, that seems to be as big of a sticking point as it's ever been, and it's always been a problem in this sport. It's hard to go, unless your team moves from one manufacturer to another and you kind of go along with it. Boy, it's tough to make the jump.
So we have lots of decisions. Who's going to replace Junior in that car, the 88, right? We got some time, but he said he'll be back next year in a limited capacity, so he's not totally going away. And I dare say coming up in August the 19th, there's going to be a huge crowd to see Junior, who coined the phrase, "It's Bristol, baby." That's how much he likes the track. So I know the Speedway has already begun to put some things together to honor him. So
I'll tell you, Jerry Caldwell has to be a fairly happy man. But, not only him, but all the other tracks on the circuit. And I think that's nice that Junior announced now he's retiring at the end of the year, because nobody, all these tracks have, even the ones they raced at for the most part, have a second date, so they'll have a chance to do what they need to. That's going to sell a lot of tickets. I think he knows that. And, he didn't want to leave anybody in a bad situation, and I think it's really good he announced it early. It's going to create some headaches for him as the season goes on, but it's really going to help the sport. Ticket sales for that race in August, I think, are going to be through the roof.
Phone's ringing already. I checked today before I got over here, and BristolMotorspeedway.com or BristolTix.com. That's not hype. I'm just telling you, because they're going to line up, because everybody's going to be there that last time Junior runs officially in the Cup Series at Bristol Motor Speedway, one of his favorite tracks, and so it's going to be a special night. And so those tickets are on sale now. 423 Bristol, BristolTix.com, 1-866-415-4158. Moving to Richmond rather. Edwards won last year, won the pole, won the race. He's gone. Who do you look to carry the momentum? Can Jimmy Johnson go up there and make it 3 in a row after Texas and Bristol?
It's funny. There always seems to kind of be a difference to the track in August than there is in the spring, even though concrete isn't really dependent on whether sunlight and heat or if it's run at night. It generally doesn't make as much of a difference on concrete, but you have your drivers that always seem to run there better at night. Matt Kenseth for a long time was that way. He dominated the night race. He'd come back in March and just not quite have it, and there's no, he had no explanation for it. It's just a little bit different. Plus, with what they're doing with the track surface, I'm curious to see how much that VHT will be down this time, and whether they maybe put more of it down, maybe put it down a little bit thicker, maybe add a little bit of room at the top of that. So there's no telling what the track's going to look like. But whenever you talk Bristol, you always talk those usual suspects, and I think anybody driving a Ford right now you have to look at, because you look at how well and how many Fords there are kind of near the top. And, those cars have struggled at 1.5 mile tracks, so they always have Bristol circled as a place for an opportunity to go out and really run well and possibly get a race win. So, I would start with the Fords and then look and see who's been successful at Bristol, guys like Kevin Harvick and Logano, and then Keselowski, and you go from there.
We're talking to Dave Andre, the Johnson City Press. We'll get him a sip. We'll take a quick break, come right back. We'll switch gears, talk the NFL draft that starts tomorrow. I got 10 guys here. I'm going to throw out names and see what he thinks, and the draft order. Talk a little feet ball coming up next year. We're live at Chick-Fil-A. Tomorrow we're going to be at Champion Chevrolet, the Bristol Motor Mile here in Johnson City. Then on Friday it's Food City. Friday it's Midnight Madness. We'll be on Clinchfield Street in downtown Kingsport on Friday. We'll come back with this guy right here, the man who's known as Thud. We'll take a break. We'll be right back on the 505th edition of the Tom Daly Sports Show.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
The deals are heating up for Truck Month at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City. Over 300 new Chevys to choose from, all with incredible savings. $11,000 off MSRP on 16 Silverado All-Star Crew Cabs. Check out the savings online at championjc.com. 16 Silverado Crew Cab, $33,685. 16 Track, $17,460. 16 Equinox, $21,615. 16 Traverse, $27,365. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they treat thousands of patients each year dealing with diabetes and its effects. Diabetes overtaking our nation and leaving a path of destruction behind. Through wound care, office visits, and preventive care, they see most of the patients after a problem arises. Using diabetic footwear such as shoes and inserts, a great way to prevent or prolong skin breakdown and amputation. At Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, they use only custom molds from patient mold inserts, which further ensure a great recovery, or better yet, prevents a wound from happening. They use custom molded shoes, bracing, custom inserts, and extra depth diabetic shoes to prevent wounds or other skin issues from beginning. Call today, 1-800-524-4447. 39 years, 6 locations, 1 family. Bristol Orthotics and Prosthetics, 1-800-524-4447.
Any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-Fil-A. Over 10 to choose from. Perfect for having the gang over to watch the big game, birthday parties, church get-togethers, backyard gatherings, everything from fruit trays to garden salad trays to nuggets and chicken strip trays. And for the sweet tooth, try the cinnamon cluster or chocolate chunk cookie tray. So you see, any day is a good day to get a tray from Chick-Fil-A. Chick-fil-A at the Crossings in North Johnson City.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
We're back into the Tom Douglas Sports Show for the remaining part of the show, but the beauty of it is we're not bound of time, so if we go over 1 o'clock, we go over 1 o'clock. By the way, Daniel Norris pitches tonight. Good luck to Daniel, pitching for the Detroit Tigers against the Seattle Mariners in Detroit, so good luck to Dino, as he's known around here, from Johnson City Science Hill High School. My man Dave Angie in the house, see him on the screen, and let's talk a little NFL football. It's going to be exciting. Starts tomorrow, and there's a lot of buzz about this year's draft from a lot of different aspects, a lot of different corners, if you will. So what do you think? What do you think is going to be one of the highlights for the NFL draft coming up?
Well, you know, it's one of those, pretty much every draft is this way, but, you know, you start looking at the top 10 this year, and it's not really, you know, quarterback-centric. You know, we don't have that year where it's like, okay, we're deciding between 2 quarterbacks. So the prime example of that is Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. You know, you remember that? And it comes down, and a lot of times you look back through the lens of history and you're like, man, you know, that was such a bad choice not to, you know, go with one over the other. Everybody thought, well, if you get Manning or Leaf, you're going to get a good quarterback either way. And Ryan Leaf completely flames out. Peyton Manning is a Hall of Famer, you know, and I mean there's a lot of pressure with those teams with top 10 picks, you know, because it looks on paper like 2 guys are equal, but you've got to be able to do what the Patriots seem to do every year and be able to look in and see the subtle differences and see how a guy is going to fit into your team and what he's going to add, you know, immediately, and how that's going to work and how everything's going to work around that. And that's the key to being successful in the draft and not being the Cleveland Browns, who seem to get that wrong pretty much every time.
Here's your top 5. Cleveland, as he mentioned, San Francisco, Chicago, Jacksonville, and the Tennessee Titans get the 5th pick from the LA Rams. Rounding out the top 10, the Jets, the Chargers, Carolina, the Bengals, and Buffalo round out the top 10. The team that really matters, the Raiders, will be the 24th pick. Oakland's re-signing Marshawn Lynch. We'll talk about that in a moment, but here's some guys to throw out here. Number 1 pick will be a quarterback, will be a defensive player. Who do you think will go number 1?
You know, I keep hearing defense. I keep hearing defensive end. Myles Garrett from Texas A&M is, you know, what everybody's looking at. But, you know, I think there's questions about Garrett. You know, if you look at what he did, he was not a guy game in, game out who was an impact player. You know, he had some big games that kind of give him big numbers at the end. You know, obviously his physical tools, if you look at what he did at the Combine, his numbers are through the roof. You know, he has the capability to do it. But as you know, in the NFL, every game is so important. You got to have a guy that's going to be week in and week out making an impact if you're going to spend the number 1 pick on him. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go up top. You know, I think they go defense, you know, this year, and I think they try to shore that up. But, yeah, with Cleveland, you never know.
You never know. Top 10 guys, a lot of the prognosticators have talked about the top 10. 7 of those are defensive players.
Yeah.
Only 3 offensive players in the mix. Leonard Fournette, the running back out of LSU, kind of damaged wheel. We'll see how far he'll go as far as the draft pick, as he completely healed from those injuries back in the season. Mike Williams, the wideout for Clemson, and Christian McCaffrey, the running back from Stanford. Everybody else are defensive players. In no particular order, Reuben Foster, the linebacker for Alabama. You've got the safeties, Jamal Adams from LSU and Malik Hooker from Ohio State. Dave alluded to Myles Garrett, the defensive end from Texas A&M. Solomon Thomas, the big defensive end from Stanford. Jonathan Allen, the big tackle from Alabama. Marshawn Latimer, the corner from Ohio State. And then, as we said, the safety, Adams from LSU. So looks like defense may drive the bus early on in this NFL draft. And every team, you know, we don't have time to go down every team what their needs are, but everybody benefits, and this is kind of a make it break it time for these NFL teams. And when you sign somebody, some can have immediate impact. Most of them are a couple years down the road before you really feel the effects of drafting these guys.
Well, you know, when you're picking, especially top 5 players, top 10 players for some, you know, in some manner, you want them to make an impact immediately. You know, and it's one of those deals where you have some NFL-ready players. You know, I look at Reuben Foster. I think that guy's NFL-ready. You know, you look at Christian McCaffrey. He can help you somehow, even if it's just in the return game. You know, maybe a back to come out of the backfield and catch a pass and go with it to line up in the slot. McCaffrey's a guy that I just look at, and I don't think he'll fall far enough down, but he's a guy that the Patriots will make good use of, you know, because he seems like he can play at a lot of different places, and his footwork and speed are so good. You know, so, you know, you look at a team like the Tennessee Titans, you know, and they're going to need at that pick to get an NFL-ready cornerback. They need a corner, and it could be one of these. You know, Latimer from Ohio State could be a guy that they wind up going with because the secondary right now is where they need help. They're real happy with their front 7 on defense. Offensively, they have weapons that they haven't had in years, you know, all over the place, and a great quarterback, which we haven't seen since McNair was there. So, you know, I think they're set in a lot of areas. That secondary's a place where they got burned last year. I think that's what they're going to draft, and they're going to want that guy to come in and play right away. So once you get out of the top 10, you start going further down. You know, you may not want something out of your first-round pick the first year, or you may not need it. Of course, once you get late in the first round, like you're talking about with the Raiders, that's a playoff team from last year, so they're pretty set. You just want a guy to come in and compete, you know, and push your starters. Possibly, if there's an injury, you need that next man up. So then, of course, you get beyond that, you start looking for steals, you know, and the team, you know, I've talked about New England a couple times. They're wonderful at that. You know, you look at the players that either were free agents or drafted late. You know, Tom Brady being a prime example. You know, they've done well.
Going to Dave Angie, let's talk about your guy out of Michigan. A little red flag on him, justified or unjustified. Peppers, one of the big guns going into the draft. All of a sudden they're backing off because of some PED and performance-enhancing drugs. Justified or unjustified?
Well, he got. If you look into that story, I think him and I think was Reuben Foster the other one. I don't want to add anybody to this, but there was a player from Alabama who were both flagged, not because they had anything in their system, but that they drank a lot of water before their drug test. Now, a lot of times if you want to pass a drug test, that's how you pass it, is by drinking a lot of water really quick before the test comes. But if you look at, in Pepper's case, I know his explanation was that he drank something like 10 to 12 bottles of water before he got to the combine because he's prone to cramping. And just watching his career at Michigan, I can tell you that's true. He would cramp up pretty regularly, and for a guy that was going to participate in so many drills, that makes sense. Whoever it was from Alabama who got flagged for the same thing had to take a lot of fluids because he apparently had food poisoning a day or two before the combine and wanted to be sure he wasn't going to be dehydrated out there when you're putting those numbers up, because that's what teams judge you on, fair or unfair, and that can drop you from the first round to the third round. So whether those explanations are valid, I'm not sure, but the fact that there was no actual nothing in their system that came up on the drug test, just the fact that they drank a lot of water, you might be able to look at that and not judge a guy as harshly as if a guy had steroids in his system, and that was not the first time. I think that's when teams really get a little bit more wary and a little more jumpy about that.
Talking to Dave Angie for a few more minutes here, Johnson City President. We're going to feed him because he's hungry, and deservedly so. He's done a great job as always. Are they missing Derek Barnett? Top 10 guys going into the draft, can't misses, and of course we're a little partial here locally, but I feel like they're missing the boat on Derek Barnett. I think this guy's a game changer and he can play, and I think he should be in the top 10. He's not, based on all of what some of these guys are saying on the national pundits, but I think Derek Barnett's going to make somebody a good football player.
I think so too. I mean, my first impression of him, and of course, when you live in a certain part of the country, you get to see guys a lot. You see a lot of great plays. Their body of work a little bit more, and it can make you to where you're not partial on it. And I'm the same way with Michigan players. Haven't watched every game most of these guys have played, but I think with him, there's legitimately, wherever he falls to, somebody's going to get a good player, and he'll be a guy that they look back and say, I can't believe they picked, X, Y, and Z before they picked Barnett. He's one of those guys, and I think he will make a great pro. I think he proved himself in college. There were a lot of injuries last year there around him. He was a solid football player throughout. So, I think he's going to be a good one.
Before we get into Harbaugh, to wrap this thing up, I do want to remind you, again, we were talking earlier about college basketball. North Carolina's Joel Berry decides yesterday he said, I'm gone. Now he's come back and said, or Monday he said, I'm gone. Yesterday he said, no, I'm coming back for my senior season, which is good if you're a North Carolina Tar Heel fan. On the bubble right now, Theo Pinson and Tony Bradley definitely are gone from the Tar Heel team. The national championship are Justin Jackson, Isaiah Hicks, and Kennedy Meeks. But again, Joel Berry says, I'm going to come back and play my senior season. Averaged 14 points and 2.5 rebounds in the NCAA tournament. So this guy's a big cog for Roy Williams, and I'm sure he's elated that he is coming back to play football, or the basketball next year for North Carolina. Speaking of football, the Raiders, looks like they are going to go get Marshawn Lynch. They've worked the deal to send Marshawn Lynch to Oakland, they being the Seahawks, the day before the 2017 NFL Draft. And so we'll follow up on that and be ready to tell you all about that tomorrow. We're at Champion Chevrolet. In closing, my friend, your guy.
Oh, my guy.
He has a smile like a Cheshire cat.
My guy, yep.
His guy, Jim Harbaugh, the Michigan Wolverines, are in Italy practicing and having a, quote, educational stop or educational tour of the Vatican and Rome and Italy, and also having 3 days of football practice. Once again, I think he's pulled one over on the NCAA. What's your take on all that?
Oh, they if you look at it, this is kind of the beginning of the month of May for students at Michigan, a lot of them who study abroad. The football team as a whole got to go this year. There was a donor that kind of footed the bill for the whole thing. Everybody gets to go. It's kind of the beginning of an educational opportunity for them, and they've seen all the sites in Italy. They've kind of learned a lot about the stuff over there. Obviously, going to be some football practice included in that. From there's a lot of players on the team. I know at least 5 to 10 that are going to continue on to other parts of Europe to study abroad for the month of May, and that's a University of Michigan program that they have that's available for all students, to kind of get them out and expose them to the world, and for the whole football team to be there. I think that's the reason you're not hearing a lot from other programs in this case. Like with satellite camps, Saban and everybody's immediately up in arms saying, yeah, we can't have this, we need to shut this down. But Harbaugh's done such a good job of putting education first on this one that I don't think there's anybody that living in a glass house is going to be throwing that rock, because it's hard to say, because they're over there and I think they're helping at an orphanage one day. I mean, how are you going to say no? You can't go help orphans.
Exactly.
You can't go help. So
this guy's a master.
Eating some pizza and gelato and enjoying themselves over there, it's a good time. And I'm sure recruits around the country, and if there's happen to be a few that want to travel the world, and decide to go to Michigan, I mean, hey, that's a byproduct, and I'm sure Jim will be glad to have them. But
Now, my man's a Michigan Wolverine fan. Harbaugh could set this table on fire, and he'd say, there's a reason why he did. It's okay.
Yeah, it was cool in here.
It's all about the spin, so there you go. Dave Angie, you're awesome, my friend. I appreciate you. What are you covering this week for the Johnson City Press?
Ooh, writing a feature on Hannah Seagrave, a great runner at Milligan. She's wrapping up her career there, done an amazing job. They won't see another one like her for maybe ever, maybe 20, 25 years. You don't get runners like this very often, so that'll be fun. Of course, keeping up with high school. We're coming up to the last week of the regular season here, down to the home stretch for real, and getting ready for playoffs there, so... that's pretty much it. I'm going in a lot of different directions, so I'll probably see some of y'all out there somewhere.
Wide open. So, and Twitter, how do we find you on Twitter?
It's Dave Angie, at Dave Angie.
At Dave Angie, O-N-G-I-E.
And it's all smushed together into one word. No space.
Smushed. That's the new word for the day. Everything's smushed. Bud says smushed.
Smushed.
There you go. All right, give me some taters.
All right, man.
This guy's awesome. Love him to death. He is perfect. Appreciate him doing a perfect job as always, coming in and hanging out with us. Our show brought to you by Grip, the energy drink, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. We're going to be live again, Champion Chevrolet on the Bristol Motor Mile, Johnson City. I do want to say thanks to our guest. Again, big thank you to Mike Hedrick checking in from Virginia, and also want to say thanks to, also a little bit earlier in the show, Tyler Parsons, the new Vice President and General Manager of the Johnson City Cardinals. Appreciate those guys very much. We're out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. Thank you for our buddy Connie Larimer, who does the marketing here at Chick-Fil-A. Love coming over and hanging out with Miss Connie, and she does a great job marketing this great store of Tim Birchfield. So we'll join you tomorrow at Champion Chevrolet. Again, as always, we will tell you we're out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. Until tomorrow at 11 o'clock from Champion Chevrolet for show number 506. This is Tom Taylor telling you, as always, win or lose, be a good sport. So long, everybody.